Hi peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. It is Monday and you know what that means. It is time for us to dive deep into the a-holes. Why? Because it's a little bit of fun. It's a little bit of juicy drama. I'm in such a happy mood. I don't know why. I'm not mad about it. I'm just happy. What was I saying? Why? Because it's a little bit of juicy drama. We can hopefully help a couple people out and we can expand our own mindsets along the way. What is not to love? What? Nothing. As I'm in a good mood, I should also probably let you know that later on this week, I'm going to be releasing a new song. It's going to be all yours. It's called Magic 8 Ball. I'm super proud of this one. I had so much fun making it, going through the process of adding live drums. This one means a lot to me. If you want to take a listen, it'll be out on Friday in your time zone at midnight on all music platforms. You can go and take a look. Right, sorry. Let's get our heads into a more spicy gear. Why am I in such a good mood? What happened? I don't even know. I don't even know. Maybe there doesn't need to be a reason. Okay, you grabbed a cuppa? Are you ready? Let's go fishing for a-holes. Let's go. Am I the drama for refusing to take her banana bread? Why does it sound like an innuendo? I'm a 24-year-old man. I was at my company cafeteria when I saw someone, a 22-year-old woman, who also goes to my gym. I started talking to her just as a friendly conversation because I was bored. Fair, fine. That's how we make friends. I didn't know she also worked at our company, but we decided to have small talk at lunch and go our separate ways. I'm confused. Wait. You were at your company cafeteria when you saw someone who also goes to your gym. You started talking to her and didn't know she also worked there. Oh, okay, all right. So, okay, you just recognized her from the gym and just like, oh, you also work here. I got you. I actually wanted a buddy to talk to for lunch, says OP. I started seeing her every day and it was nice to have a friendly conversation and talk to people at our cafeteria. There's honestly no one who goes there, and sitting alone whilst eating makes me depressed. Fair. Fine. It's a very normal thing to want to speak at lunchtime. You made a friend. Guessing she bought banana bread? Let's see how this goes. The next day, I went back to my cubicle when I saw her standing there with the banana bread. Okay. Now, she doesn't work in the same department as me, but on a different floor of our building. I'm not sure how she found my cubicle number, but I'm guessing that she searched through every floor since there's only 5 floors. I don't think that's creepy. No, I think if you're friends, you know, like you're talking, okay. I mean, maybe I would have waited to see you at the cafeteria, but okay. She told me that she made banana bread for me and wanted me to try it. I said I didn't really want to. I don't like banana bread. She insisted that it took her hours to make and she wanted to share it at lunch and try a little. I said no thanks. Then she got angry and said I was an a-hole and left my cubicle. Did I do something wrong for saying no to her bread? In some ways this feels super trivial to me, but in other ways, like, I can see why this has been posted here. No, I don't think you're the drama. I feel like this was like a super easy one to start with. I don't think you're the drama. If you don't want to eat the bread, you don't want to eat the bread. You don't like banana bread, you don't like banana bread. If she went out of her way to make banana bread and didn't clear it with you, like, there is no obligation on you to eat the banana bread. I can understand maybe why she was a little bit upset. She was like, oh, I'm doing something nice for my new friend, and then you didn't want it, but that's her problem. That's not your problem. I do also think that her reaction was like pretty dramatic. Like, it's just bread, dude. You can't force someone to eat food, and why would someone be an a-hole for not wanting to have something that you didn't clear with them that you were going to make them in the first place? You know what I mean? I get it from her perspective that she was excited. She just maybe misread the situation in the sense that you didn't like bread. It doesn't need to be any deeper than that. Like, move on. It's fine. And now she just made it really awkward for you to want to be friends with her going forward and to, like, see her and to make small talk again after she's called you names for not wanting to eat food that you didn't want to eat. Like, that just sounds silly. Should we see what other people have to say? I feel like that was a really quick one. You are the drama, says one commenter. You could have just accepted it and then given it to someone else so it wouldn't have gone to waste. I understand that you wanted to be honest, but sometimes honesty isn't the best. I totally disagree with this. I honestly, there is nothing here that I agree with. Yeah, maybe you could have accepted it and given it to someone else, but it wouldn't have gone to waste because she would have eaten it. Or she could have passed it on to other people. You then stopped yourself from lying. And why is honesty not the best? If you've gone, I don't want it. If you said, yeah, I want it, she'd have continued making you banana bread and you'd have continued to not like banana bread. So honesty is the best policy. Why is it that there is an expectation for people to do things that they're not comfortable with just to preserve someone else's feelings when honesty wouldn't rationally hurt someone's feelings? It's just enabling stupid lies to me. Silly. No, don't agree with this comment. No. Everybody sucks here, says someone else. You could have rejected the banana banana bread. The banana bread more tactfully, or accepted it and taken it home with you and given it to someone else. But, I mean, she said she wanted to eat it at lunch, so I don't think you could have taken it home. She wanted to eat it with you, is what I was getting. But anyway, whether you consider her a friend or not, life is full of relationships, and learning how to navigate them diplomatically is an important skill. I can understand where this is coming from. Truly, I can. Having said that, I feel like what you did was navigate it diplomatically. You said, with respect, I don't want the bread. Did you say with respect? I totally made up the with respect thing. But you said, no thank you, I don't want the banana bread. Pretty sure I said no thank you. Wait. I said no thanks. Yeah. So, like, it's not like you were a poop about the banana bread. Do you know what I mean? Like, just don't eat the bread. It's fine. You've diplomatically and kindly said, I don't want the bread. This commenter does go on to say she shouldn't have blown up, and quite frankly, it's bizarre that she said it took her hours to make. It's banana bread. What is she doing for it to take hours? Yeah, agreed. Also feels like a little bit just kind of manipulative. If someone says they don't like something, it really doesn't matter how long you spent on creating a thing that they didn't say that they wanted in the first place. Do you know what I mean? That's my thinking. I feel like this is kind of not a big deal that's been made to be a big deal, and I don't think it's a bad thing if you didn't want banana bread. That's it. Can it be that simple? Shall we move on to another? Am I the drama for refusing to go to my parents anymore until my daughter is over 1? I told my parents, says OP, that I'm no longer coming over to their house. I've just had a baby and she's having a hard time with latching and feedings. Oh, little baby. Every time I have to feed her, my father makes rude remarks about how I need to cover up, or how my daughter always has a boob in her mouth. Oh, let me guess. This is the kind of person that's like, oh no, does breastfeeding my baby mean that she'll turn into a lesbian? Deep breath. Let's read on. I've explained before that covering up right now isn't an option because of the issues that we're having, but when they resolve, I'd be more than happy to do so. I've also explicitly said that his remarks upset me. I finally made the decision to stop going over there until my daughter is no longer breastfeeding. My mum keeps inviting us over for dinner, but I've let her know that I'm not interested in going over there anymore. So am I the drama for setting these boundaries, or should I just let it go? Honestly, babe, I don't think you're the drama. I just think, like, it's 2024, man. It's 2024. Why is it that people still have an issue, let alone your dad? Like, that's just really weird, right? That your dad would have an issue with you feeding your child. Let me unpack that, because some people are like, of course your dad would not want to see your boob. The people that are thinking that way are thinking that boobs are inherently sexual. It's weird and uncomfortable to me that a father is thinking that boobs are only having sexual inherent worth, and therefore, like, doesn't want his granddaughter to be fed, or doesn't want that process to be easier, when he knows that his granddaughter is having problems feeding because of his innate discomfort that comes from viewing boobs as a sexual thing. That's just weird to me. That is really, really bizarre. I feel like if more people, like, phrased it that way, maybe they would be less inclined to feel weird about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, maybe it just needs a conversation with people who haven't thought about it to be like, hey, you know that boobs are just human udders, right? Like, do you ever have a problem with a cow being milked? No. So why should you have a problem with somebody being breastfed? I don't see the issue. These things make milk. They feed our children. How is that any different to you grabbing a spoon and sticking it in your gob? I don't know. It's very bizarre to me. And I therefore do not think that you are in any way wrong for saying that you feel uncomfortable going somewhere where you don't think that your daughter can be fed. We also need to remember that with things like latchings and feedings, if a baby is not eating enough, like, the nutritional value that comes from milk and only milk is very important. Babies and their weights are very important in those early stages. And if a baby's not eating enough, that is a problem. Like, if they're not getting enough nutrition, that's a really big issue that could impact them long term. So when they are wanting to feed, it's not like you can be like, oh, let me just go through dinner and wait. No, your baby needs to be fed. And especially if they're having issues with latchings, then, you know, like, you've got to make sure that you're available when the baby wants to eat. So stop being weird and let your daughter breastfeed your granddaughter. Oh, that happiness that I was feeling at the beginning of the video is slowly being replaced by the reality of humanity being Oh, to be fair, it feels a little bit bad to me that your mum is having to suffer, right? To be punished for the fact that your dad's making it a comfortable situation. But at the end of the day, if it's their house collectively that you're being made to feel uncomfortable in, then your mum can compromise and find other ways to see you and your granddaughter. She can come over to your house and cook a meal. You can meet each other outside or away from meal times. I was going to say, I wonder how you feel about going over if it wasn't for the fact that it was meal times, but you can't predict when a baby's going to want food. So fair enough. If you don't want to go there because your dad's being rude, don't go. That is entirely your prerogative. And it's not like you're saying, I'm never going to see you again. It's just until you have to stop breastfeeding because you don't want that awkwardness. Makes total sense to me. Fix up your behavior, fix up your attitude, or I'm not coming. Especially when you've already said, hey, look, you're upsetting me. And hey, look, I can't do what you are asking me to do, which I'm going to say he doesn't have the right to do anyway, because it's just weird. Not the drama, your body, your baby, your boundaries. Your dad needs to grow up. My sister would just pop one out at the table when we were dining in public. It's not a big deal if no one acts like it is. Exactly this. It's not a big deal. It doesn't need to be a big deal. And the fact that you're making it a big deal is a little bit weird, babe. The first time my dad walked into the room when I was trying, says a commenter, at the time less than successfully, to breastfeed, he looked at me, looked at my kiddo and said, neither of you look very comfortable. Let me pull the ottoman out for you and kind of get you a thicker pillow for kiddo. Oh. He then did both those things, grabbed my water bottle and refilled it and said, yell if I can do anything to help, and left. 5 minutes later, he sent my mum in and they stayed out of our way whilst I cried, and when I couldn't stop, woke my husband, who'd been catching a nap, to come and help. In other words, he read the room, did what he could, and supported me, and he'd tell you that that's the role of a parent of adult kids. Opie's dad needs lessons. Yes, he does. Brownie points to your dad, though, and to your whole family network, because that is absolutely adorable. It takes a village, and your little village were all kinds of beautiful right then. Love it, love it. You're doing the right thing, says another commenter. Your dad has the emotional maturity of a 13-year-old boy. I'm glad that the forum is in agreement here. I was ready. I had my cuffs up. I was ready. The only thing that matters right now is that baby gets fed. His feelings are meaningless. I mean, his feelings aren't meaningless. He is the host, and if you as a host, like as the person who owns a house, doesn't want that happening in your boundaries, fine, it's your prerogative to say that, but then you can't be mad when your child is like, well, then I don't want to be here. You know, there's a reason why public breastfeeding is protected in all 50 states. This, not the drama. Bury this. Oh, and to anyone that this might help, one commenter has also suggested that a nipple shield was recommended by a specialty hospital, which really did the trick. 3 lactation consultants and a doula couldn't help prior to this, so if anybody else is having issues with latching feeding, then maybe that's a good tip for you. Also, not the drama. Unanimous decision. Love to see it. Shall we find another? Am I the drama because I won't pay to continue housekeeping services for my wife? Ooh, this one sounds conspicuous. Do you know what I mean? Like when you can't make a judgment from the title alone, I'm a bit like, I don't know. Let's see. I am intrigued. My wife is someone who has always had a housekeeper from a young age, says OP. When we first discussed moving in together before marriage, the division of chores was a hot topic. I was on team, we can do it ourselves, and she wanted to keep using the housekeeping service that she had. Ultimately, I agreed to the housekeeping service after both of our parents told me that it would be easier to agree to make her happy. I don't like the idea of like happy wife, happy life. Just the concept behind that. I'm like, oh, let's just agree because you don't want to see her upset. It's not really why we should be agreeing to things. However, I do agree that there should be an element of compromise. And if this is something that's kind of small cheese in your relationship, it's not too financially toilsome to be able to have a housekeeper, it's what she's used to. Okay. Right? Fair enough. If it's not that big a deal and it's something to compromise on, then fine, make her happy. But as a general rule, happy wife, happy life is not the way, babe. You know, like, voice your opinions. You are a team. Let's read on. My only thing, says OP, was that it was a service that she was responsible for paying for. Sounds like it might be a financial issue. She started out having them come every other week, then once a week, then every other day to keep the house as clean as she liked it and to do things like her laundry and emptying the trash in her hobby room. Okay. I mean, look, if you have the funds to do it, babe, go for it. If that's how you want to spend the funds, that's okay. Objectively, however, I will just say that's quite expensive. That feels quite over the top to have a cleaner come into just a house do you have kids? I'm not sure. I haven't seen anything about kids. So I'll assume at this point that you don't, but to have a cleaner come like every other day, that's quite a lot, right? Unless you have like a huge house. I don't know. I just feel like that's quite excessive. Every other week, I get. Full disclosure, we used to have a cleaner that would come once a month. Totally fine. I don't think I would want a cleaner to come more than like once every 2 weeks, just because it's frustrating as well to like have to move stuff, and you always do a little bit of cleaning before the cleaners come anyway. Not cleaning, tidying, because you want to make sure anyway, my point is it's excessive. Let's read on. Mid-January, my wife was let go when her company downsized. She's been having a hard time finding a job in her field. For now, she's working part-time in retail. We weren't making amazing money before she was let go, but we live comfortably, due in part to living below our means for the most part, except for the fact that you have cleaners every other day. Whoa, but okay. Since her current job doesn't pay much, I said that I would cover all of our joint expenses, i.e. the mortgage, property tax, utilities, and our phones, so she doesn't have to deplete her savings, and our savings won't suffer as much either. Totally fine. Makes a lot of sense. Very kind of you. You're a team. Makes sense. All good, all good. Apart from the cleaning, what happened there? She paid for the cleaning service in February, but then yesterday asked me if I was going to set up a direct pay with the cleaning company or transfer her the money to keep paying them. Okay, so when you were like, hey, I'm going to take on joint responsibilities, your wife assumed that that also meant the cleaning. And I'm getting the vibe that you're not happy with this. Let's see. In US dollars, it's $190 a week. Wow. It's a lot of money. What is $190 in pounds? Just to put that in perspective, 190 USD in GBP. That's 148 pounds a week. That's 600 pounds a month on cleaning. I should clarify. I don't think that the fee is too high for the work being done. Cleaners are pricey and should be pricey because it's a lot of work. It makes sense. It's a lot of time. Often you have multiple people, and depending on like how deep the clean is, right? But like if you're getting cleaners in every other day, £600 doesn't sound unreasonable for the fact that people are coming to your house on such a regular basis to do such thorough work. Having said that, it just feels like a lot of money. Whoa. OP says, I told her neither. The housekeeping service was something that she wanted and was responsible for, and if she can't afford it anymore without dropping her savings below a point that she's comfortable with, then we don't need it, and I'm not going to pay for something that two able-bodied adults are perfectly capable of doing ourselves. Okay, interesting. I totally see OP's point with this, and I would agree with that point. As I mentioned beforehand, we had cleaners. We don't have cleaners anymore. It's not within our budget to be able to do that, so we don't do it. Would I love a cleaner to come every month to the house? Absolutely. Knowing that we're in a cost of living crisis, and am I going to insist on it? Absolutely not. Like, it feels like those are the sort of luxuries that if your finances change, it just makes logical sense, right? To be like, okay, well, clearly that's not happening anymore. It's interesting as well that wife in this situation is not even saying like, oh, can we still have cleaners, but to a lesser extent. It was just like the expectations of, I know I'm not paying towards any of the bills anymore, but you know, you can keep paying for the cleaners at the same rate, right? OP says, we argued. She says that I know how much she hates cleaning and that it stresses her out, and since the housekeepers clean up areas like the kitchen and living room and make the bed sometimes, I was benefiting from it too, so it counts as a joint expense. I mean, I see where she's coming from. I can totally see how OP is also benefiting from it, but I think it was made really clear earlier on too, right, that this is something that she wanted, and OP was willing to do that stuff himself. Oh, hold up. Actually, I don't know what OP's pronouns are, and I've just totally done a very cishet norm of thinking they're in a straight relationship. But yeah, themselves. But if OP doesn't want to pay for it, then they don't have to. It's pretty simple, at least to me. OP says, I told her it doesn't count as a joint expense because I'm perfectly happy to clean up after myself and have cleaned rooms before when they needed in between visits. Fast forward to today, and she thinks that I'm still being a jerk by not paying for it. So, am I the drama? There is a little edit here, which is some additional information about the cleaning sort of responsibilities and behaviours in the house, which I think might be important. OP says, I've been doing housework even with the housekeeper. I do my own laundry. I make our bed most days. I clean up after our pets. I clean the kitchen after we cook, and that includes the oven, stove, microwave. I take out trash, recycling, clean the AC filters, I dust between visits, I sweep and I clean the bathroom between visits, I clean up the shower and sink after each use, I pick up after myself. Most of what the housekeeper does is already done by the time that she shows up. If my wife is home, then it's her mess that gets cleaned up. Her clothes, plates, items that she leaves around. The housekeeper also cleans her hobby room, does her laundry, and whatever else my wife asks. She's just used to having a daily cleaner due to her childhood. Oh wow. Okay, I think that was like really enlightening, because like what this clarifies is it's not OP just being like, well, I don't do anything, but I don't want to have a cleaner. You, wife, are now expected to do all the cleaning. No, OP clearly does their fair share of the clean too. It also strikes me as really odd that you have separate laundry, so that cleaners come and have come on a more regular basis specifically to do your wife's laundry, but that you do your own laundry. I don't know why I find that odd. It's just not how I would function in a relationship. I guess it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It's just unusual to me. I hate to sound like one of those people, but I kind of feel like maybe OP's wife needs to be told you are a little spoiled and you need to get over it. If you don't have the funds to pay for it, babe, welcome to how the rest of the world lives, and deal with the fact that you need to clean your own clothes. It's just a line of, oh, you know how much I hate cleaning. It stresses me out. You know what? I don't particularly like having to cut my nails or wash my hair. I don't like having to clean up cat puke whenever the cats vomit. I don't always love making a meal. But guess what? As adults, we do things that we don't like sometimes. It's just part of life, you know? With the most love and kindness and respect. Get over it. I'm sorry if that sounds really harsh, but I just feel like this is a bit of a wake-up call moment where you need to realize, especially if you can't afford these things and your partner doesn't want to pay from their earnings towards it, you gotta find other ways. You are not the drama, OP. I really don't think you're the drama, and I think your wife needs to be a little bit mature about it and accept the reality for what it is. Not the drama. We have a housekeeper come every 2 weeks to clean up our house. A few years ago when I got laid off, I became the housekeeper because we couldn't afford it anymore. Once I got back on my feet with steady full-time work, we started it back up. Since your wife is only working part-time, she has more time than money. That is a great point as well. It's so true. Sometimes money is more important and valuable than time, but there comes a point where time is more important than money. And in those situations where you don't have enough time, but you have money to be able to put towards it, it makes total sense why you would want help in that way. But it's always about balancing that up. And so this part-time point makes so much sense, and it's not something that I thought of. This commenter says she should be doing the housework to make up for the money that she no longer brings in. And again, I say this as someone with a housekeeper. If you're both working full-time and can afford it, it's nice. But if you have more time than money, you have to step up and do it yourself. Someone else says, I totally agree with you. I have a housekeeper as well, but I know it's a luxury that we can afford right now if we need to cut back on costs because one of us loses a job. This is one of the first things to go. Not the drama, OP. Having a housekeeper come in every other day is ridiculous in almost any case. I do think that frequency was excessive, but again, can totally add to this. If you're in a different financial position, you have to get rid of some luxuries. It's a thing. It's basic budgeting 101. I really hope that you're able to share some of these responses, OP, with your wife, and that she can see that this is just the reality of being an adult, of going through different financial stages. It happens. And you know what? I can imagine some people being like, you know what? Even if you do have a lot of money, why are you spending it on a cleaner? Don't be so silly. You are perfectly able to do it yourself. I see that, but at the same time, I don't think it's fair to judge what other people choose to spend their money on. If you, as a person, don't like cleaning and you have the funds to be able to allocate towards that, it is perfectly within your right to allocate said funds towards that. There's moments, there's core experiences that we have, right, that like shape us into the people that we are. One of these moments, it's not even a big deal to my sister who this happened with. I'm sure she probably wouldn't even remember it. One of my gorgeous sisters wanted for Christmas this tin of lip gloss. It was like this brand jelly bean. It was in the shape of a jelly bean, and it had all of these different flavored lip glosses inside, like lip balms, not even glosses, right, just lip balms. And she really wanted it, and it was pretty expensive for lip balm for me, you know, who spends like, I don't know, £3 on one tub of lip balm that lasts me many years. My sister wanted this thing that was worth like nearly 30 quid for like a whole bunch of them, and I was like, I bet you're not going to use them, you'll lose them, why? But I just had a bit of like a brainwave moment. I don't know what possessed me to think this, but I was just like, you know what, just because I don't value it is something that she really values. Who am I to tell her that that's not what it's worth just because I don't see the value in it? We are our own people. I might spend a lot of money on this microphone, you know, or on those little troll dolls, which I absolutely adore and love, or these Jellycat toys, and I think they're absolutely worth it, and I think they're wonderful because that's what I like. And other people might also judge and be like, what the hell? Why are you spending so much on a microphone? Why are you spending any kind of money on little troll dolls or Jellycat toys? But we all have our own wants, and so we shouldn't judge other people for wanting what they want. Everybody's value is a subjective thing, right? If you feel like you can clean and it's not that much of a toil on you, fair. If OP's wife feels like it's a huge toil on her, also fair. But it doesn't mean that if you don't have the funds, you can then still demand that somebody else spend it. That's where I still think she's a drama in this instance. I just want to clarify that I don't think she's a drama for wanting cleaners, but she's a drama for insisting, even though she can't personally afford to keep that habit up. Hope that makes sense. Oh, I feel like that was a little bit trickier. Not the drama, says someone else. Please extend a warm welcome to reality to your wife. It seems it might be her first time joining us here. Nobody wants to clean. It's a necessity of being an adult in your own living space. She can stomp her feet and pout all she wants, as long as she does it with a broom in hand. Just because she's been spoiled as a child doesn't mean that you need to continue into adulthood. It's time for her to grow up. I mean, this is really harsh, but I agree. Not the drama. $190 a week for housekeeping services is a luxury, not a necessity. Whoa, all right. Should we do one more? Do you think it's going to be easy? Do you think it's going to be tricky? Let's see. Am I the drama for calling my sister out for telling my wife that she looked pregnant? I need to read that again. Am I the drama for calling my sister out for telling my wife? Because your sister said to your wife that she looked pregnant. Are you the drama for calling your sister out for doing that? Okay, let's read. My sister isn't a child. She's 30. Okay. The thing is that she hasn't had the most conventional adulthood. She spent most of her late teens and early 20s in and out of one rehab or another. She didn't go to college. She lives alone, and I don't think that she has that much of a social life. She lives out of town, so we don't see her much. My wife isn't a heavy person by any means, but like many people, she isn't quite as thin as she was when we first married. Pre-child and all of that. There. Bodies change, all good. Totally normal, and obviously I couldn't care less, says OP. Fair. Cute. Good. I'm glad this isn't going down that route. My sister came over with my mum to visit several months ago, which was her first time seeing my wife and I in many years. She came into town again more recently, and we met with her at my parents' house. She saw my wife and said, "Oh, I thought you were pregnant," implying that my wife looked pregnant the last time she saw her, but clearly isn't, as she would be showing more now. Okay. It's a very bold thing to say. Okay, my wife is a very emotionally mature person, says OP, and didn't make a thing of it, and neither did I. I thought maybe my sister, perhaps being less exposed to social norms than some, didn't know that you don't say that, ever. So I sent her a text later on telling her that I know that she didn't have bad intentions, but it's generally quite rude to comment that someone looks pregnant and really shouldn't be said, basically ever. She got all bent out of shape, saying that I was a jerk for guilting her, and that I should grow up and stop taking everything so literally. Am I the drama? Whoa. No. OP, I don't think you're the drama. Oh, it's fine. I don't know why I'm stressing so much about feeling that it might have been a complicated one. No, this feels very straightforward to me. I think you did the right thing. I think it's very kind of you to not only stand up for your wife, right? Not that it's a bad thing to think that someone's pregnant, but in this society where we're constantly being told that being heavier is not a good thing, it can mess with someone's self-esteem, and I just think that like appearances are just things that we shouldn't be commenting on. They're like the least interesting thing about a person, right? Like the size of your body. Comment on the fact that I've turned my hair pink, which I love and is a sign of expression, sure. Comment about the makeup that I'm wearing, cool. Comment about the clothes that I choose to put on, because that's all expression, right? But like, you have a baby, your body grows, and in doing so it changes shape. Like, why do people feel the need to say something? I don't understand. So I totally understand why you would in that moment be kind, right? Because it is a sign of kindness to be like, hey, I don't want you, sister, to put yourself in positions where you could be making other people feel awkward. I'm giving you a life lesson to help you grow. Maybe don't say this in future. You said it in a kind way. You didn't even do it in the moment, right, where you were being in any way embarrassing or causing embarrassment to your sister. You did it privately in a text where she could then think about it. She's done the very annoying and manipulative thing of being like, don't take it seriously, which honestly irks me in so many ways. I think it's really rude when people say that, because what it means is I don't value your feelings. I'm not holding any value to what you feel is important to you. You are being vulnerable to me and expressing that you feel some kind of way, and I am disregarding those feelings. Don't take it so seriously. I just think that's so rude, because who are you to be the one and only judge of what inherent value of seriousness something should take? If someone's telling you that they're taking it seriously, accept that you've done wrong, and accept that maybe to someone else this is more important, and it's a sign of love to recognize that and give that loved one the time and the value that they are placing on something. If it's important to them, it should be important to you, if you care about them. I do think that your sister is maybe saying things that are not socially correct, and I don't think it was wrong of you to call it out, but I do think it's wrong of her to tell you to not take it seriously. No. And saying things like, oh, you're guilting her and that you should grow up, and calling you a jerk, that's the biggest like deflections that I've seen. It's so obvious these are things that she's thinking about herself, and the right thing to do in those situations is be like, you know what, my bad, it's okay to be wrong, we are not perfect, that's why we are human. Anyway, those are my thoughts. Do you agree, my loves? Let's see what other people have to say. Not the drama. That was a rude comment for your sister to make, and you didn't scream to her about it or anything. You just assumed the best intentions and were polite, and she immediately got mad and insulted you. Agreed. Not the drama. You are right. She is a mess. OP says, I felt bad for her, honestly, because the lack of self-awareness has really prevented her from getting her life together, but it doesn't make her easier to take, to be honest. Sounds like you're being very patient and very kind. This is the biggest problem that I've always had. I don't know if you can like see it and detect it in videos. I have a real big issue with people surrounding themselves with yes men and not being open to the idea that they could grow, but also with other people not allowing people to grow, because they claim that it's a sense of love to hide them from the truth because the truth might hurt. But you know what? Often loving someone means telling them those hurtful truths, because that's the only way that we allow them to grow. Not the drama. Stop taking things so seriously as a common fallback for people who have been called out of bad behavior to try and make other people that they've hurt look unreasonable. I totally agree with this. It's quite a gaslighty technique. Don't take things so seriously. Oh, you saw it completely wrong. Oh, it's your fault for interpreting it like that. Well, if that's how you want to take it, all of these phrases, they are all there to make you question your own reality in a way that serves other people and not yourself and your feelings. This comment says it's a way to keep from taking responsibility for actions, and the mature response is to apologize. And instead of working out how her actions might have hurt other people, your sister's only concerned about how you are guilting her. That's another thing. It's a sign of manipulative behavior, and it really, again, it super irks me. Sometimes it's not done intentionally, but it's really important to recognize it for when it is being done, so you can remember that you are not bananas for thinking a certain thing. It's really interesting to me here how sister is now going, oh, you know what? You're the problem for making me sad, when this whole thing started by you saying, hey, you've upset someone else. This victim switching and this total victimization of oneself with no accountability of actions is a big problem for me. It's a big red flag, and I don't like it. I feel like we've learned a lot from today. I'm grateful for the reinforcing of values and things to look for and not look for. What do you think, Peaches? Do you agree? Let me know. If you enjoyed this video, do give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Just reminding you as well that Jamie and I have our gorgeous little podcast, 1-800-DRAMA out. If you like these kind of episodes, every other week we're doing them together. You can take a look either on this channel or on any podcast platform. If you'd like to share your opinions, you're very welcome to do so. Just remember to be kind as you get your little juicy butts downstairs in the comment section. I'll see you next time in another video. Be kind and have a great day. Bye.